Hey entrepreneurs, it's Tracy from Entrepreneur Girl, and today for Tracy's Tuesday Tips, we're going to be talking about books and listing books with Amazon FBA. So if you are part of the Amazon 360 group, you saw that I was posting pictures of my terribly messy office because I spent the whole weekend doing book shipments for Amazon FBA. And while I was doing that, I kept thinking about tips that I wish I had known when I first started with books, because that's how I started in Amazon FBA. It's still a huge part of my business model with Amazon, and I wish I had known just a few things to kind of get me started. So that is the point of today's video. If you want to add books to your product list, or if you just want to get better at sending books, or if you're just getting started, I think books is an excellent way. As you've seen some of my previous videos, books I think is a really great kind of safer place to start when first learning how to Amazon FBA. So I have written down some tips that I want to share with you today. So grab your pen and paper and let's get started. Books have their own set of considerations. They're different, than other products, so they have their own special, unique considerations when you're going to be listing them on Amazon FBA. I have watched other YouTube videos where people say that books have this terrific profit margin. And maybe that is true for some people. I have not personally found that to be the truth. On occasion, I find excellent books. Last night I listed books and I was lucky enough to have like 3 in a row that I was listing for over $50. And these were books that I spent 10 cents a piece on. The profit margins were awesome. But I don't find that every day on a consistent basis. So I like to be pleasantly surprised by those really wonderful finds, but I like to have a business model that takes into account that we might not have those types of books. So what do you do when you just have standard books? So with that consideration, books have a pretty small profit margin because we're not dealing with $50, $75 product. We're dealing with a $9.99 product. And when you have items that you're selling on Amazon FBA that are lower than the $10 mark, you have to be really, really careful. As you've seen in my previous videos when we talked about, the breakdown of the Amazon fees, if you have a $10 item, you have, a lot of the same fees that you have when you have a $100 item. So it just eats away at your already narrow profit margin. Having said that, I love books because they don't break. They're easy to ship. I can ship a lot in a box. They're easy to find. They're inexpensive to acquire. I really like them overall, but you do have to consider that the profit margins are small and those Amazon fees are big, so you have to be really, really careful when choosing books. For the most part, I really need to be scanning every single one of the books before I buy them, if I'm not buying them in bulk from, say, a library sale or, a book sale going out of business or something like that. That's why scanning apps are really, really, really important if you're going to be dealing with books. So make sure you have your Profit Bandit, at least your free Amazon app on your phone. You're taking your phone with you. You're actually scanning the books and making sure that it's a good purchase before you buy it. Because you don't want to be sending these books in and be surprised that you're actually spending money and not making any money, because that can happen when dealing with books and dealing with those small profit margins. So the first tip is you have to be scanning everything when dealing with books. The second thing is you have to understand that the profit margins are smaller, and when the profit margins are smaller, you have to list larger quantities in order to make the amount of money that you want to make every month. You have to be watchful of the market. Kindle books are becoming really popular. The whole ebook platform, is making a movement. I haven't really noticed or thought yet or felt afraid that books were going to stop selling, because I haven't seen that type of decline. It seems like most people still like to have the books, that to be like these are outdated yet. There might come a point in time though where that's the case, so you do want to keep an eye on the trend as far as the ebooks go. Okay, so those are our special considerations with books. Now let's talk about some places to find books. Okay, thrift stores have books, but you have to be careful because thrift stores still might be charging $3 a book. I never ever pay over $1 for a book unless I have some huge, great profit margin, great selling book, that I'm looking at. I used to when I first started, but now I really like to get books for $1 or less. And in order to do that, you have to buy them in bulk. So if you're going to a thrift store, I mean, that's fine. Scan the books. You might find some really great ones. You might find some really cheap ones. But I would talk to the manager always. Just give it a go and say, hey, I sell books. I would really like, to buy the books that you can't sell. Maybe we can make some arrangement. Or, hey, what do you do with the books that you can't sell? And if you're just throwing them away, or if you have some other kind of arrangement, maybe I can buy all of them, for a low price. You're still making a little bit off of them, and then I'm able to make a little bit off of them, and we're both happy. Those are the types of arrangements that you want to find, especially if you plan on selling books long term, because it's hard to go out sourcing and having to find 3, 5, 10 books every day. It takes a long time to acquire them. So what you want to be doing is buying hundreds of books at a time, and that's pretty much all I do right now. Not to say that when I'm out sourcing I don't just browse through the books and pick up a few, because I do, but for the most part I want to be grabbing those bulk books. And that's one way, is to make sure you talk to the management. Garage sales. You go to a garage sale, they're saying $1, each book, and they have boxes of books. I go up to the person that's having the garage sale and I say, if I buy all of your books, how much would you give them to me for? And most of the time it's like, oh, 20 bucks. People don't like to hold on to the books. They're heavy, they take up a lot of room, they don't want them, they just want to get rid of them. So offer some really low number. You can always bargain up to whoever it is. If I take all of them, I'm not going to sit down and look through each one of these books. But what I have done is I've walked through the books and I'm just gauging how many there are. So maybe there's like 200 books. I'm like, okay, 200 times 10 cents. And then I go, and that's where I'm at with the price that I'm offering the person. And sometimes they, get me up a little bit, but we're really low for all of the books. I pop them in my van and I'm off. So don't just go to a garage sale, scan the books and pay the $1 for your 5 books. The whole mentality is to get lots of books for very little money. Book sales, obviously, library book sales, you've seen me do videos on that. That's hands down my most favorite way to get books, because I get like $300 or $400 books for like $30. So I love book sales. Craigslist. Some people love Craigslist, some people hate it, but I think you should be mindful of Craigslist. Pop on there at least once a week. Look in your area, see what people have. You can even place an ad in Craigslist and say, hey, you have old books, I will pick them up if you just want to get rid of your books. All free books, call me with your name and your phone number. That is really a good way, because so many people have a lot of books that they want to get rid of. They don't want to go through it. They don't want to go through their garage, and they're willing to let you do it. If you're going to do the work and you're going to haul them away, they'll let you have the stuff for free. So always look on Craigslist. Even if it's not for free, sometimes you can find some really good deals. People are moving, they're selling all of their books, things like that. So Facebook, we talk about social media and using social media. Facebook is great. There are groups in your area that you can do a search for that will show you the garage sales in the area, but there's also groups like I have one here on my island, and it's that community that's selling stuff. So anytime they have a bookcase for sale or a chair for sale, they have a picture, they tell you how much it is, and you're just kind of scrolling through and you can sell things that way, but you can also buy things that way. Or you can put a blurb out there, hey, I really need books. Anybody got some extra books sitting around? You'll be surprised at how many people will be like, yeah, sure, pick mine up. People want to help you. So if you put these blurbs on Facebook and Craigslist and Twitter and all your social media, you're going to get a lot more traffic that you didn't even think about or didn't even know that you could get. Bookstores. Don't just think that bookstores are going to be crazy expensive. Yes, sometimes they can be, but sometimes they don't know what they have, and sometimes, you know, they have things on sale, or sometimes they're going out of business. So don't discount bookstores either. Stop by, you know, once a week or every once in a while, get a rapport with the manager. If he's going to be turning his inventory, maybe you can work out an arrangement with him. Church bag sales, that's another one of my favorites. Anytime that you can buy, whether it's a garage sale or a church sale or whatever, if you can buy a bag for $1 or a bag for $5 and fill it up, you want to just grab all the books that you can and get bags of books, because those bag sales are a great way to get bulk merchandise. The Goodwill Outlet centers. If you don't know about this, you need to Google them. It's the pay by the pound Goodwill centers. So they're not the regular Goodwill stores. These are the pay by the pound centers. And you can do a search on Google for them and see if there's one close to you. But you need to check this out, because this is a great way to buy a lot of inventory. Flea markets, of course. Dumpster diving, which a lot of people don't like to do, but you can find new books. You know, go to your Barnes and Noble, it's shocking what people throw away in the trash. One thing that people don't really know about, school districts and universities have a surplus center. And I don't know that they all have them. I know that locally we have them, but you can call up your school district or your local university and say, hey, do you have a surplus center? And basically this is where they store all their old materials. You know, they have a new edition coming out, so they've collected all the old curriculum, all the old books, and they've stored it in the surplus center. And I call and ask if there is a way to purchase the material from the surplus center. And normally when you go and you're going for one thing, you can kind of look around and find other things that you can inquire about and purchase too. So it's kind of like a double win-win. But if your district has that, you should check into it, and very little people know that this even exists. But it's called a surplus center, and it will be with your school district. Antique stores are marts. I know antique stores are really, really pricey. I have to be careful. You have to be careful with an antique store that you go to, because it can be really trendy and touristy, and their prices are way, way over the top. But sometimes those little hole-in-the-wall places and those hole-in-the-wall towns are gold mines to purchase things. And marts are kind of like they look like antique stores and flea markets mixed together. They have a lot of vintage things, but kind of like in a disarray mess, and you have to go through everything. But those are really great places to buy in bulk. When I was in Indiana, I did that. I asked the guy, I always ask, can I just take all of your books? And they'll be like, well, sure. And I'll be like, well, how much? And they're like, oh, $25. And I'll say, well, how about 15? And they'll say, well, okay, 20. And, we kind of haggle over it, and I get every book that I can. And that's truly the best way to do it. Okay, storage units. Storage units you find a lot of books in, but you also find a lot of other stuff that you may not want. So if you're going to be a bookseller, or if you're really just looking for books, a good way to handle storage units would be to go in with other people. So say there's someone that's selling clothes, and you're selling books, and someone else is selling miscellaneous items. You can all split the cost of the storage unit auction, and then you can divvy up the goods. All books go to you, all clothing go to them, all miscellaneous stuff go to the other person. And sometimes you're going to win out because the storage units are mainly books, and sometimes you're going to lose out because there's only one box of books and the rest are clothes. But it kind of all works out if you have a good business relationship or a good friendship with the people that you're going in on. If you're just looking for books, I don't know that I would risk the cost of a storage unit auction, because you get so much other junk, and you can't look through it before you bid on it in most places, so then you're kind of just stuck with whatever you get. Auctions, though, just like regular auctions, are my second favorite besides library sales. I love auctions. You've seen my videos on auctions. Auctions are great. you can literally just buy whole huge boxes for $5. So it's a great way to get books. You'll get a lot of vintage books. Vintage books can sell on Amazon. I'm seeing more and more vintage books, which makes me really happy. It used to be I'd have to save all my good vintage finds for eBay, but now I'm starting to see them on Amazon as well. Outlet stores like Big Lots or Ollie's, they are really good because they're new. So if I do find something that's good, what I like to do is just grab all of it. So if it has low competition and it has low ranking, you know, say under 100,000, decent profit margin, then I will just go ahead and fill my cart with however many that they have of that item. Recycling centers. This is like $1 million tip here. People don't think about recycling centers. You need to be calling your local recycling center because there are just thousands and thousands of books getting thrown into recycling every year. If you can get a rapport with your recycling center, if you can open the door to getting the books from the recycling center, you could fill up your garage, and for minimal money, or maybe, you know, they're just going to give them to you, it could give you just a lot of free inventory. So recycling center needs to be way up there on your list to at least call. What you're trying to do here, again, is you're trying to create this network of people and places where you can repeatedly be gaining inventory from, so you don't have to try so hard to source, you know, for books. And the second reason is so that you can get the books for very, very low money or free, because that's going to be your best profit margin. And then books can be very profitable, and they're just so easy. So then you'll have an easy, profitable product in books, but you have to network, you have to kind of get the supply chain established, and you're going to have to make those phone calls and put yourself out there, not be embarrassed by it, but just to say, hey, this is what I do, and nice to meet you, and what can we work out? And if they say no, that's okay, or maybe there's someone else you can talk to. eBay, you can still look on eBay and arbitrage and flip over to Amazon, because a lot of people are selling books by the bundle. They're selling books in bulk, and you can buy them for low money on eBay and then turn around and sell them individually and make a profit on Amazon. Another thing, friends, do the same thing like you did with your social media. Put out a text to everybody, put it on your Facebook page, you know, tell people, hey, if you have any books, like ever, always call me. If you have any boxes, if you have any shipping material, hey, keep a Tracy pile by your door and shoot me a text and I'll pick it up, or next time I see you, or, you know, whenever we're gonna go hang at a movie, pop it in your trunk, I'll pick it up from you. I would just so appreciate it. And people love to help people for the most part, so I think you will get a lot of feedback just asking your friends and like your hairdressers and your acquaintances. You'll be surprised how people will come through for you. Newspapers. I know that's kind of outdated, but it's still true. You can run an ad in a newspaper and, you know, maybe just try it for 1 month and see if it's worth the money, because newspapers, depending on your newspaper, some will charge you for running an ad, some allow so many, you know, free lines, but you'll have to see what your newspaper does. But it wouldn't hurt to try that as an outlet for acquiring inventory. And just anywhere. Books are everywhere. I've bought books from my grocery store. I have purchased books from the oddest places that you don't even think should have books. They have books, and they have a pretty good price on books. So just everywhere you go, every errand that you run in your personal life, always be on the lookout for books. Always have your phone, always be scanning, and just, you know, acquiring. And when you get 40 books is about what I put in a box, maybe a little over, because you have to be under that 50-pound weight limit. So I find 40 books is a good rule of thumb for me. And once I get 40 books, then I try to ship them off in the box. So now we talked about where, let's talk about some good sellers. What books sell really well? I'm sure if you talk to a lot of different people, you probably get a lot of different answers, but this is what's worked for me. I love all things academic. Textbooks do really, really well. Curriculum, homeschool curriculum, you've heard me talk about that. That does really well. Self-help, counseling, training, people wanting to learn. Those are great. I stay away from fiction books unless it's a really, really popular, like Harry Potter when Harry Potter was popular. Unless it's something like that, I stay away from fiction. I try to just be nonfiction. Coffee table books. If you have a book on, with pictures of yachts or artwork or sports cars, those big coffee table picture books sell really well for me. I have a pile of books actually beside me. These are all books here that I've decided not to Amazon. When you buy in bulk, you get all kinds of books. You get books without covers, you get books that are vintage, you get everything under the sun. So what I do is I go through and I try to list everything that I can list on Amazon. But the threshold is that if it's under $4, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to put it in my eBay pile. I'm going to see if I can make a profit on eBay. If I cannot make a profit on eBay, then I put it in my reject box. If you don't know what my reject box is, you can watch the video because we made it on that. But I just get a tax break. I can use it as a tax write-off for the items that I can't sell that are damaged. So I'm still kind of making a profit on that book because I'm, utilizing it in a different way. So that's kind of how my setup is here. I buy them in bulk, and then I list what I can on Amazon, and then I list on eBay what I can, and then I reject box the rest. P.S. I almost forgot to tell you that this Thursday, all the information is going to be below, but I'm on a live interview with Jake, and I'm really excited about it because this one's going to be a little different. It's going to be a little special because when you sign up for the webinar, it's totally free, but you fill out your information, and then he has like this 5-question survey. So be sure to fill that out because what it is it's questions that you can ask me directly on the live show. So I'm really excited about this because I have so many questions that are asked, and I feel kind of bad because it takes me a long time to get to them just because there's so many. And this will give me an opportunity to ask any, pressing questions this Thursday. So if you have one of those, whether it's about family life or juggling it all or eBay, Amazon, entrepreneur, whatever you think that I could possibly answer for you or help you in any way, please join us. Hope that was a little bit helpful for you. I really appreciate you watching this video. Forward to seeing you next Tuesday.